Kathy Hill. Okay, then let's do it. Okay, I'd like to call this meeting of the San Mateo Park and Recreation Commission to order. If we all please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you please call the roll?
I would be happy to. Vice Chair Held. Here. Commissioner Holm.
Here.
Chair Massey.
Here.
Commissioner Womack. Here. Thank you. We do have a quorum.
And just for the record, then Sarah's excused.
She is.
Excused. Okay, good. All right. Okay, we are again holding our meeting in hybrid mode, and that is to say that the meeting is being held not in person, but the public also has the opportunity to access our meeting over Zoom. So I will just read through the sort of technical instructions of, for this. For those who are here in person, if you wish to make public comment at the appropriate times, please complete a request to speak form and submit it to the recording secretary. For those of you joining the meeting by Zoom, you can join the Zoom meeting by clicking on the link at the top of the agenda. Use the raise your hand button to be called on at the appropriate time. Please unmute yourself only when called upon. Alternatively, phone-in participation can be done by calling area code 408-638-0968 with the conference ID 858-7872-1342, passcode 986882. Press *9 to raise your hand to be called on and *6 to unmute. These options for public comment will remain available until I close the public comment period for that particular item. Okay. At this time, we offer the members of the public attending the meeting either in person or Zoom the opportunity to comment briefly to the commission on any item not appearing on tonight's agenda. Tonight's agenda items are 2022 summer recreation camps and programs update, an end of the year review for fiscal year 2021-2022 for the Parks and Recreation Department. Anyone wishing to comment on anything else? This is your moment.
Chair Massey, I think we need to do item 1 first. The
We
introduce.
want to do that? Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. All right. Well, it's my great pleasure. I'm very pleased to be able to do this on my last meeting as chair to introduce and welcome to our department our new Parks and Recreation Director, Joanne Magrini. We've had an opportunity to talk briefly on the phone before this, but we are all very much looking forward to working with you and progressing our parks, and we are very happy to see you here. Would you have a few words to say to us about yourself?
Yes, I will keep it short, but yes. So I hail from the University of San Francisco. I ended up going to school there to get my master's degree in sports and fitness management, and USF stands for You Stay Forever, and I stayed for 22 years. And then I had the opportunity to become the community services director in the city of San Bruno in 2018. So I was there for a couple of years, helped design their new an aquatic facility that they'll be opening in a in a couple of years or less, and then moved on to Cupertino for a couple of years. And I'm super excited to be here. I was born and raised in San Bruno. I'm very familiar with San Mateo, played a lot of softball on all the fields here as a child and an adult. And I'm just very excited about all the opportunities that are before us. So happy to be here, and thank you for the warm welcome. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. We are, as I say, we're very happy to have you here. So you would prefer then that we take care of the consent calendar before we do public comment?
Yes.
Okay, then let us do that. Our consent calendar tonight consists of approval of the special meeting minutes of June 1st, 2022. Have everybody had a chance to take a look at those? Does anybody have any changes to propose?
I do.
Yeah,
Actually.
Okay,
In the public comment section, it's, I'm gonna pronounce the name wrong. Tolifa spoke in regard to the perceived community need for more pickleball courts, and just the phrasing of this makes it seem to me that like we don't believe that there's a need for this. So I just would propose we just say she spoke in favor of the need for more, and simplify it that way.
objections? Objections? And that's fine. I would be looking for a motion then to approve the minutes with this modification. Do I have a
I'll
motion?
move to approve of this.
Second. All, oh, no, I'm sorry, we do roll call. You ready for roll please?
We can take roll. Commissioner Held?
Aye.
Commissioner Holm?
Aye.
Chair Massey?
Aye.
Commissioner Wolnick? Aye. Motion has passed 4-0.
Thank you. All right. Now we'll move on to the public comment. As I said earlier, we offered the opportunity at this stage of the meeting for members of the public to comment on any item not appearing on tonight's agenda. State law prevents us from taking action on any matter not on the agenda. Your comments may be referred to staff for follow-up. Public comment is limited to a total of 15 minutes. However, an opportunity for additional public comment may be provided later in the agenda. Do we have any requests for public comment?
I will give everybody a couple minutes just to raise their hands.
I know we comment at the end, but I actually have one comment. So it's probably a little bit out of order, but it's kind of related to minutes because I was not at the last meeting. But I did watch the minutes online, or watch the meeting online, and the audio was really hard, just cutting in and out. So if you guys could check on that, because I got 3/4 of the meeting.
Thank you. We will check on that. Okay, Chair Massey, at this time we have Kendall Catanzaro. Kendall, if you can please unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can't hear you right now. Just give us a minute.
Okay, it's them, not you. You have to shield all the messages.
Try out the TV.
I do apologize, we're having sound issues. I'm just gonna put the sound on my laptop. Kendall, are you-
She said, are you there? I'm here. Can you hear me?
Sorry about that. Maybe we can go out of order. Next presentation, back to this. I think we might have to come back to public comment because we need to read out the sound.
Okay, all right. Then that's what we'll do. We'll come back to public comment at a later point, hopefully. Okay. The next item on the agenda is election of officers. We need to elect a new chair and vice chair to serve from September through next either June or July. I'll start this by asking for nominations for chair.
Can I ask a question first?
Yeah, of
Sorry,
course.
do we need public comment for this item? Yeah, so we might need to skip this one too.
What, wait a minute, all right.
You technically need to take public comment on all the items. I'll
Right.
open it for
But we
public
could go
comment.
with a presentation.
Right, but a
of items.
presentation would take, give more time to fix the
That's a good
problem.
point.
Yes.
Or we could see if there is public comment for this item.
See that.
Well, they raise their hands. Just goes back and forth. Kendall, can you unmute yourself?
Oh, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Whoa, I'm a person, I'm here.
Thank you for your patience. Appreciate
No
it.
problem, no problem.
Public comment? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, all right.
Yeah.
Public comment.
So should I just give you the brief of what I want to talk about or actually do the whole thing now?
Whichever you want to do.
Okay, then I'll just go for it. So my name is Kendall Catanzaro. I live around Central Park in San Mateo. I'm asking for extended off-leash dog hours at Fitzgerald Field in Central Park. Currently, they are allowing off-leash hours from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., but many people can't go at that time for various reasons. To get a feel for the interest, if there'd be any interest in the evening off-leash hours, I did start a petition at the beginning of this month. I currently have a total of 417 people who are in favor of having evening hours at Fitzgerald Field in Central Park. In addition to that, Central Park is surrounded by apartments and condos that have no yard access. And just around the small perimeter of the park, I'm talking 9th Avenue, Laurel Avenue, and El Camino, there's about 22 buildings that have roughly about 530 units total. And that's not mentioning the new construction that's happening downtown or the apartments, the larger apartments over on the other side of El Camino by the library. So the closest off-leash dog park that is to Central Park are both Steel Point and Lori Meadows, but both of them you need a car to get to their locations, which many people don't have a car, or maybe they're elderly or disabled. And after work, people, they don't want to drive somewhere, they just want to walk through the park with their families or so on, their dogs, so on and so forth. And there's no other place in Central Park that's totally enclosed, like Fitzgerald Field. So people who utilize that space that don't need an enclosed area can go elsewhere, but dogs, we can't really let them run free in the middle of the park. It'd be great if we had our own dog park, but for now, I'm just asking for evening hours from 5 to 7 p.m. when people get off work to let our dogs run around, because like I said, the majority of people just don't have access to a yard. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. That has any comment to make about this time? Otherwise, we are referring it to you for future consideration and possible action. Thank you very much for your comment. Do we have anybody else?
We do. We have Mary Kodak. Mary, if you can please unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, okay, I'm not as eloquent as Kendall, but I just wanted to second what she said. We are one of the people that live in one of the apartments nearby, and I usually have to leave for work at 7 in the morning, so I can't make the off-leash dog park hours. But we've been bringing our dog in the evening, and we've been meeting lots of really kind people, and it's been a great way, of meeting other members of our community. And it's been like a really great way for us to exercise as well. So just evening dog park hours would be really wonderful if you could consider it. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much for your comment.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Do we have anybody else?
I don't see any additional hands raised at this time, Chairman.
As our in-person attendee, do you any comment on this? Okay. Then we'll close the public comment period at this time. And we will move then to the next item on our agenda, which is the election of officers. As I mentioned earlier, we will be electing tonight a new chair and vice chair to serve from September through the end of June next year. And the floor is open for nominations for chair.
The easy one, I'll nominate Lindsay for chair.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Do we have any other nominations? Do we have any other nominations? Hearing none, then if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Absolutely. Do we need public comment on this one? I thought we did. Yeah. On each, or should we take all nominations?
Usually on each, but I mean, if you want to separate them or lump them together, you can do either.
Why don't, we only have two offices that we're filling. Why don't we do both together? That's okay.
Well, I have a comment about our second office, which is that we normally essentially take turns, and it would be Sarah, and she's not here. She's also running for council. So I think if we vote tonight on Lindsay, we have a chair to continue, and we can coordinate for vice chair when Sarah's here to give input on her wishes. And or we may wait until after the election even to get a vice chair, potentially, I don't know, if we can do that.
That's a
We just-
good question.
we just nominate her
I
and
don't.
she would change if she gets elected.
Yeah, I mean, we
Okay.
could also just skip her in the rotation, and if she's still in the commission next year, she can be the.
Vice chair then.
Yeah.
I'm reluctant to have us stretch the procedures any more than we already have. In that we were supposed to have done this almost 2 months ago. I kind of like your approach better, but you know,
That's fine too.
is that okay?
Yeah.
Because I could see her saying, well, it depends on what happens in November.
Yeah.
So,
I think we should move.
okay. Then I will move on to asking for nominations for vice chair.
I nominate Heather.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, at this point, then I will open the floor for public comment. Do we have any requests for public comment on either of these proposed nominations for these offices?
There are no raised hands at this time, Chair Massey.
Okay. Any? No. Okay, then I'm going to close the public comment period on this item. And we will move to a roll call vote for chair.
Commissioner Holm?
Aye.
Commissioner Wolnick? Aye. Vice Chair Halt?
Aye.
Chair Massey?
Aye,
Motion is passed 4-0.
congratulations.
Thank you. Tough act to follow.
I'm sorry, I will now move on to a roll call vote for vice chair.
Vice Chair Halt?
Aye.
Commissioner Holm?
Aye.
Chair Massey?
Aye,
Commissioner Wolnick? Aye. Motion is passed 4-0.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Having finally taken care of that, I'll move on to item 4. Under our new business 2020 report of the 2022 summer recreation camps and programs. And I understand Mr. Palacio has a presentation for us on this point.
I do.
Great. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So good evening, Commissioners. Bob Palacio, Community Services Manager. You know, let Giovanna pull up the presentation. It's just a short PowerPoint. What I wanted to start with, we had a terrific summer. A really good summer. If a measure is how many injuries or things went wrong, we did terrific, because there wasn't a lot of things that sort of went off the rails, and it can in summer camps, you know, and that didn't happen either in our programs or with our camps. COVID obviously did affect us. We had cases throughout the summer, but by and large, as you'll see from the presentation, it was a really terrific summer. Okay, so the first slide, I'm going to give you summer camp by the numbers. So we'll start with summer camp because we have summer camps and we have summer programs. So we had 174 one-week camps. So what that would look like if you were at Camp Mateo, you'd have seven 1-week camps of that camp, and it comes out to 174 that we offer. So there's a lot of opportunities for kids to enjoy themselves. We had 4,753 registrations, which is a big number. It rivals what we were doing prior to COVID, which is terrific. We did not think that necessarily we would return this quickly, but we did. We used 13 locations, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, because summer camps in San Mateo used to use a school, which looked more like an extension of like the school year. And so we've been able to get them out into the parks, which is terrific. Our revenues are 1.1 million just for camps. And we're really proud of our fee assistance program, where we had $124,000 we gave in fee assistance to families in need. So that was really great summer by the numbers. Okay, talked about those camp locations. So we did camps in our parks as well as on some of the other properties. So when you look at like Bayside Academy, it was one of the schools that we actually used to do our theater camp. Instead of having our entire camp there, we just used the theater in a couple of classrooms, which is great. But we also use some of the private businesses like Create, Mix and Mingle, the Myriad Music School, things like that. We also offer camps on their sites. The best thing about it is kids get to get dirty in our camps. And so we used Bay Meadows Community Park, Bayside, Joinville Park and Pool, Beresford, obviously King has its own camp, Camp Oak, which is great. Central Park, Lakeshore, Los Prados, Shoreview, Indian Springs for our little ones, which is a really cool camp that people really like. And then Laurie Meadows and Casanova. So not only are we, sort of given a different experience, but people are able to get to different parks throughout the city. So they don't have to commute in the morning as much or do that on the back end of their days. So we've gotten a lot of really good feedback, and it's something that we think was a success. We wanted to do this prior to COVID, but COVID really pushed us. The pandemic was like, get them outdoors. And so we were able to kind of put that into action, and it's been terrific for the families. So, okay. Types of summer camps. So I had 174 one-week sessions. Camp Oak is a camp that we now have at King Center, and it's terrific. We had, it fluctuates between like 60 and 80 kids that are at Camp Oak, and that was always a place where there was, it was sort of tough to get the masses of people to show up. And I think that staff has done a really good job, and the community of sort of fixing the perception of what the King Center is and the King property itself. And so we had really good numbers. They had a really successful summer at Camp Oak. Camp Mateo is a little bit larger camp, and that's the one that's throughout the city of San Mateo and is at all of our parks. But we do have things like pre-camp. So those for our building blocks, early childhood kids, we give them a summer camp experience, a little shorter days and things like that. But we have that. Camp Extreme, that's for our preteens and teens. They take basically trips every day, which is a really cool camp. So they show up and they're just going all over the place, whether it's a walking trip or it's a trip that could be a Great America. But we really try to get them to experience a lot of the things that they wouldn't normally see, whether it's beachfront walking or things like that. Then we have our contract camps, which are like World Cup soccer, rebound basketball, volleyball, tennis. So I want to talk about tennis really quickly. So our summer camps for tennis and our programs for tennis have exploded. Whatever was in the water during the pandemic, it has gotten people to want to play. I think it might be the distance in which you can be away from your opponent and from other people that really drew people to that. But we're getting big numbers, both in revenue and registrations of people doing that, both adults and kids. So our summer camps were really successful. Skyhawks sports camp. And then I mentioned the ETC theater camp, which is still one of the camps that does really well for us. And a lot of kids really love the theater camp. So that's great. And then I'm not going to read them all for you, but you can see that we had a wide variety of different types of camps for kids. One I will call out is skateboarding. I will tell you that our skateboarding camps always fill up, and we do really well with those skateboarding camps. So I did want to make that known, because I know there's been some talk about skateboarding camps and things like, or skateboarding in general. Okay. All right, aquatics. Aquatics was one of the things that went away for one summer, and then it came back, and we had like instructors with shields, and we weren't sure where this was going to go. This year, we were able to make over 1,500 children water safe that learned to swim at our both facilities between King and Joinville, which was terrific. And it's something that we feel is our responsibility as a public agency, is to provide that opportunity to families that really don't want to go to either a private sort of agency or don't have the means or whatever, and we really want to be able to provide that. And it's one of the most important things that we do. And so we were able to do that in big numbers. We also were able to return Rec Swim. So this is the first summer that Rec Swim was back open at both locations, which was great. Families get to come and get to enjoy the pool, as a group. And that had gone away for a while. So to be able to return that, we hope next summer we'll even be able to add some more days and make that more of a robust return. And then one of the cool things for our summer camps, we were able to return to camp swim days. So this whole time, kids in our camps were not able to go and enjoy the pools. We kind of put that on the back burner. In the meantime, we had them doing slip and slides, with large inflatables and things like that. And that was great, but we were able this year to get them the pool experience again, and kids really enjoyed it, and families give us a lot of good feedback. So aquatics was terrific. My next slide will tell you what one of the biggest challenges. There are a few challenges with aquatics. Okay, our aquatic staff is amazing. And Carolyn Chevelle, who runs the aquatics program, supervisor, is amazing. That being said, there are just not enough people willing to get into aquatics right now. And it's not just relegated to us. It's not only throughout the Bay Area, but throughout the country. Getting aquatic staff this year was really, really difficult. And so we're gonna do everything we can to start earlier in the recruitment and see if we can't have a more robust crowd. Joanne had mentioned, when she showed up to a pool and Carolyn's sitting in the supervisor is actually sitting in the guard chair. It was tough. Normally, when we recruit aquatic staff, you make sure that the frontline staff are people who are not going to take vacations during the summer, and they're going to be there primarily pretty much every day. The problem was this year we had enough people on the front line, but we were taking people who were going to take off a week or 2 weeks or be gone. And so it made it really difficult to schedule. We were able to get through it, but this is one of the challenges that I wanted you to know about that we'll have moving forward is recruiting staff to be able to provide our aquatics program. Okay. All right. So then on the other side of the house, outside of camps, we also offer programs all summer, and those did well as well. Numbers of classes offered, we offered 288 classes this summer, which is a large number. And remember, we're still coming out of COVID. So a lot of these classes are now becoming in person again, as opposed to either online or the hybrid version. So we were happy with that. Number of registrations, we had over 2,800 registrations in our classes, which are terrific, and our revenues were about $222K for those. And then we also did fee assistance, which isn't as prevalent as camps because a lot of times there are more adults and people like that that are taking the courses. Okay, so some of the summer program examples, I put adult and youth tennis first. Scott Leslie is here as well. Scott is a staff member. He's a manager in our department. He actually oversees a staff that oversees tennis. And he can tell you that, and if you want, you can tell us how well that program has done. I mean, it really has exploded. We went from thinking we were going to pay out like $150,000 to receive revenue in, and then we had to get an extension, an addition from council up to 200, and it continues to grow. And people are every session, people are filling these classes, whether it be one-on-ones or whether it be multiple people in a class, those type of things. So it's been really, really successful. Rebound basketball, ceramics is one of the most successful things that we do year round. If you haven't taken one of those classes, I encourage you to take one. Not as easy as it looks. They make it look really easy on TV, and when the people that are in there that do it, it is really difficult, but really fun. And we do have wait lists. We hope to one day to be able to expand the class, find additional space to be able to do that. So that was nice. Karate things that we offer at King Center as well. We've got lots of kids and even adults that participate in that. Peninsula Music Together. Yes, people do play chess. So we have chess classes that do well as well. And then we have some of the things like acrylic and oil painting, California Mahjong, which is really big over at the Senior Center. Wonder of Watercolor, and then tech tutoring, which we continue to do. And I think we'll always probably do, even if it doesn't get a big number of people, the people that take it is really important for them. It's usually around the digital divide or the senior population, and we're able to help them with navigating iPhones or computers or things like that. It's really appreciated by folks. All right, another area that we have, dance and fitness and the arts. So we do a lot of adult dance, youth dance, senior dance. There's adult fitness, hip hop dance, and then we do folkloric dance, Mexican folkloric dance, traditional Irish dance, Zumba, and cardio. And this was an area where prior to COVID, we've kind of seen our numbers dwindle. They were going down. They weren't falling off a cliff, but they were reducing. And we started to look at how many businesses were out there in San Mateo that were actually doing the services that we were doing, and realized we were sort of duplicating a lot of those things. Maybe not the best place for us to be. Well, during the pandemic, a lot of those places closed. And so we're now seeing our numbers start to increase again. That being said, this is an area where we're going to give some attention to figure out the best way forward long term. We'll see if some of these companies recover or people come back and start attending them, and we start to see ours sort of dip a little bit. I think we're going to focus a lot more on the beginner programs as opposed to the intermediate or advanced. Those people generally go to the private industries. But the good news is that people are coming back to us. This is a touchy one. The people are, when you're in a fitness class, if we don't do it outdoors, if it's indoors, and some people want to be indoors, there's a lot of heavy breathing, things like that. When you're dancing, you're in close proximity. So, there were challenges associated with it because of the pandemic, but we are making some headway. One of the big things I will tell you that we'll do with this program is we're going to use the outdoors a whole lot more. We've already started that, but we're going to come up with some formal plans to be able to move things into our outdoor spaces. We own them. They're available to us, and we look forward to having more Zumba and things like that out in our parks. All right, summer special events. Hopefully you got to some of these. Central Park Music Series. We had our 4th of July event. And then we've had the reinstitution of mobile recreation. And mobile recreation was one of the programs that took a big hit during the pandemic. We obviously were asked to not have people gather. And mobile recreation is about bringing people together and having people gather in a space. And so we weren't able to really pull that program off. We now are back to having a dedicated schedule, and we're having mobile rec throughout the city, which is terrific. We're really excited. Central Park Music Series, if you did get to attend, you saw that it was really well attended. The events went great. We had one little thing that went on there, but other than that, it was a terrific summer for us. We were really pleased. The 4th of July event, again, was well received. I think it's our 3rd year of doing a formal Central Park 4th of July event, which is a little bit different than the Central Park Music Series. So we're really excited about this summer. That's it. Try to be as short as I could be for you.
Thank you very much.
And if you have any questions, we can answer.
Any questions?
I actually surprisingly have quite a few. I don't know why that happened tonight. But first, I mean, this is so exciting. It's so great to see all of this back. I mean, it's just wonderful. Just a couple of questions. So with the Camp Mateo, with the locations all throughout the city, did we get any feedback or look for any feedback on whether people were getting their first choice of location for those?
So I don't know that we've asked that question. So it's a question we can ask in our survey, whether or not they were getting their first choice. What we do see is that people, if they don't get their first choice, they're waitlisting at that location, but then they're also signing up at another location. It's not like we've got a lot of people that are on the wait list that just aren't being served. It's that if they don't get that location, what we were able to do is add some pods if we needed to. Like if we had a big wait list, we could add additional staff at a location and try to keep those kids at the desired location. The only fear with that is sometimes what will happen is when you do that, all the kids that are at, say, another location, or half of them will leave. And then those other kids don't get the real camp experience, because it's hard to do when you have 5 or 7 kids, as opposed to, 14, 20 kids in a camp. But we'll check on that.
Yeah, I'm just curious because just with commuting, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a park down the street, we want to get those families in that park down the street if they want to be there, as opposed to driving all the way across the city to drop their kids off and pick them up. Next question, the pre-camp was unlimited hours. Is that related to our preschool licensing, or was that just a choice to do a limited hours for the?
No, it's a choice. We actually, those are not licensed camps or daycares. That's out of our Building Blocks early childhood program. So that happens over at Lakeshore. And it's a choice because the feedback that we've gotten from those parents, they just want still short days. Licensed childcare is something we're going to look at seriously, over the probably coming year, is to figure out where we can, if it's possible, those type of things. We have one location right now that's licensed, and that's Beresford, and that's the after school program.
Yeah, I know that, I don't know how many of the preschools, like in the public school system. I mean, mine, it's an extended day. So that's what we're used to during the school year. And so then going into a 9 to 12 for the summer is difficult. But I don't know if we're just an outlier, or if there's more
What
people.
are
in
the
that.
hours that they would be for the extended day?
It's 8:30 to 3.
Okay.
Were there any programs that didn't fill up as expected? Anything we want to keep our eye on, and whether it may not be as popular, or we just want to wait another year?
There are some that are lighter than others. We try to only move forward those that hit, a minimum and are hopefully close to a maximum. But I can get you a list sort of the ones that didn't do as well. I will tell you that we try not to carry those over. We're not just going to keep offering the same thing and they don't do well. I think summer is a little different than the fall. Summer, pretty much everything does fairly well because you have so many kids that are out of school. This fall, we will have probably a greater number of programs that either because they're indoors and people still aren't comfortable, or for whatever reason, they won't fill up as well. And then we have to make those tough decisions on whether or not we move forward with those classes. Nothing's jumping off of off my mind telling me that, it didn't do real well this summer.
Okay. Yeah, I don't need a specific list. I think you answered my unasked question, which is that you do monitor that and assess that every time. I'm gonna slip into quick comments. The water in the park. So my son did attend one of the Del Mateo, and it was unfortunately they weren't able to go to the pool that week, and they did the slip and slides, and it was a huge hit. So even if you do have swim days, like still having those days in the park are pretty cool.
Okay.
And then I just wanted to highlight the popularity of tennis and skateboarding as we move into our facilities master plan.
Got it. Yeah, and I think the feedback that I got from staff was that kids liked it so much that we're actually going to build in a slip and slide day, because these aren't like the slip and slides you buy at Walmart or something. These are like large commercial blowers and stuff, and the kids loved it. So we're thinking of putting that into the camp experience as well, in addition to the swimming. So
Thanks.
I guess a couple comments. One, that slip and slide sounds really cool. So if you want to just make that like an event, like, your movie nights or things in the park, just make that like a cool thing. I think our daughter would love it. And then I had completely forgotten about this, and I was going to email you back in August. My wife and I talked about it. I was like, write up what you need to send and I'll send it on. And I completely spaced. But the school district, San Mateo Hospital School District, lost a couple after school programs or space. They have a program called the Annex. I think that's at preschool or some schools. And we're in the transitional kindergarten. So we have young kids just starting in. And so we're not sure how it used to be, but there was a big sort of buzz amongst parents of saying there used to be more capacity and now that's been reduced for the after school capacity. So that might be something to check on. There might be an unserved need out there.
Okay.
And I was meant to tell you that like in the summer when it really would have helped, and I completely blew it. Sorry.
it's okay. It's never too late. I mean, I think especially if there's families out there that are still, looking for places. There could be, we can look at that. I mean, we have some sites in the afternoons that we're looking to try to provide programming. Maybe that's an option. It wouldn't be licensed or anything like the BKC program is, but we do have 2 after-school programs at King as well. Both of those are full with wait lists that we're hoping to clear. So there's definitely, a need out there, but yeah, we can look into that for sure.
Can I tack onto that? And really look at locations, because anything, if there can be someone goes to the school and walks the kids to the
Yeah.
camp, that would be so good for parents to not have to figure out how to
Yep.
transfer
Okay.
their kids.
I think going forward, because transitional kindergarten is expanding each year. So there may be a greater need because transitional kindergarten gets out at noon. And so our daughter goes to an after-school in-home program that's by the school where they pick her up and walk them there. But those are the big challenges for parents of young kids.
Yeah.
Sure.
Great. And I know, like at the BKC program, we actually have the walking bus where we go and we pick the kids up and
Yeah.
and we bring them over. So, to be able to do that, I understand is a big one. And we may have some opportunities. We have some properties that are in close proximity to some of the schools. So.
Sure.
Okay, well, I want to thank you. I do have one question, but
Yep.
first, I want to thank you for your presentation on behalf of the commission. The scope and the breadth and the great variety of programs that we're putting on is very impressive. And it's really, really nice to hear that the scale of activity and the number of registrants and all that are coming back as nicely. So I think that's grand. The one question I had was you had spoken specifically about staffing issues in the aquatics area. Do you have similar issues in any other area?
It was a challenge to find per diems for the summer, just in general. It was more of a challenge to find them for aquatics, only because certification's required. And there's a period of time that you have to have training and you've got to do those things. It's not just like I can go to Chris and say, hey, we want you to help out at a summer camp. We give you some training and then kind of get you out there. You get printed, you get approved, all those things. In aquatics, a little bit different. It's more of an extensive process. And are people willing to take on that responsibility of dealing with water? It's a whole different ballgame. And you're talking life or death. And so not everyone is built that way. So it's harder to find people that are sort of in that, that comfortability of being able to jump in the water and save someone if they have to. And so that's been difficult.
I'll just weigh in as well on this one because we had a similar experience in Cupertino. I think that COVID really impacted people keeping their certifications up because so many pools were closed over the first summer of 2020. And so I think it was just, people got other jobs or did other things. And, it is challenging with the additional certifications and trainings that you need for aquatic staffing. But I will say that based on this summer still being challenging with COVID, I was very impressed by the ability to be nimble because staff were out and we had to get coverage and people really stepped up and really helped out this summer. So from the full-time staff to the part-time staff, everybody covered for each other. It was very impressive to see everything working to keep camps going and to keep aquatics programs going. So just want to nod to the staff as well.
Excellent.
Yeah, if you know anyone that wants to work next summer, we're open.
Well, one comment on that for swimmers or for aquatics, is I swam and did water polo in high school, and one of my good friends on the team was a lifeguard at one of the pools somewhere. But I would say maybe go out and recruit, like go talk to the teams and say, hey, if you guys are interested, because no one ever came to us and just suggested, hey, this is a summer job opportunity. But you might find some kids that are inclined that would say, oh, hey, that'd be interesting, and then they could pursue that.
Yeah, and I think one of the other challenges is we can give more responsibility to a 15, 16, 17-year-old on the ground than we can in the water. And that's one of the challenges as well, is finding that, 18, 19, 20-year-old college student. The other thing is when they are in college, the later the summer gets, they want to have a week or two off before school, or they're getting ready to leave. And so, it becomes challenging some of the weeks. So hence why I was out there putting up slip and slides.
Some of your seniors will be 18, in the summer.
Yeah, for sure.
And if
No,
you get 'em-
that's a great idea. I mean,
Get them young, for some support roles. then
yeah, and
they
I
would
think
grow into
what
that.
we'll need to do is make sure we're not just going to like swim teams or those things, but going to the schools
Yeah, exactly.
and hitting those kids,
Going to the swim coaches at the
Yeah.
schools and such.
for sure.
Okay, anything else? Any other comments? Yes.
One other thought on the after-school program, just, you probably have thought about it, but since we've already done it, programs at schools, that's maybe another option too, to not even have to move kids but to like actually facilitate the after-school program at the school.
Yeah, I think when I was in San Francisco, obviously, we had some large programs that we did. We had our staff go to schools, and I always felt like that was the best case. I know that the Annex program has been the one that has had the contract. I think what I'm gonna be doing is contacting the district and talking to them about what you're talking about. We'd be open to it. I think, we have good staff. It's just sort of making sure that whatever program we offer is of high quality and that we do have enough staff to be able to make it happen. We know there's a need. Generally, that the Annex has been the one that that program has been the one that's at the schools. So there hasn't been the need, but if they've gone away or their contract
They
expired,
reduced for whatever reason. And it might have been staffing on their end.
Well, even before that, it was tough. Not everybody got a spot.
Yeah.
I mean, our school has 2 after-school programs, the Annex plus another one. So I think there's still a need out there, even if the Annex is still existing.
okay. Yeah, and we'll have to look at which schools are sort of the most in need and where it would work the best for people.
Last call.
Thank you.
That's fair.
Okay, thank you very much.
Very welcome.
Thank you very
Thank
much. Okay, we moved to item 5, the end of the review for fiscal year 2021-22 for the Park and Recreation Department. Nicholas, it's all yours. Yes?
I apologize. I think we need to open up for public comment on this. item.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Thank you. Let's open up public comment on the item 4, the summer recreation camps and programs update. Do we have any requests for public comment?
I don't see any raised hands at this time.
Then I'm going to close the public comment period for this item and move on to item 5. And it's all yours.
Giovanna, when you're- Good evening, Commissioners and Chair. I want to take the opportunity this evening to basically give you an update on our financials. We go through, over the past 3 years, we've gone through, we've given you updates on the year ahead on our CIP. We've shared with you during the pandemic all the impacts that the pandemic has had on our business, especially where recreation is concerned. In regards to the shutdowns, the inability for us to conduct business as usual, and the impact that it's had to the number of programs that we've offered, the challenges in terms of going virtual, and the ability for us to provide the usual outlet for people. And obviously during this time, the fact that the parks have actually become the place for recreation. So because of the fact that we've had a lot of these conversations and we've shared a lot of, not so great news about what's been happening out there and the impact, I put this presentation together just to give you a very quick snapshot of where we're at financially and what the trend seems to be going forward. Because we thought that, you'd appreciate it, because obviously you've shared a lot of the pain and the concern that we've had over the past 2 to 3 years with the pandemic. So if Giovanna, if you can, yep. So what I'd like to do is, first of all, I just wanted to bring up the expenditure slide, which basically shows the trend for our expenditure since the past, in these 4 fiscal years. And what I've done is I've broken things out by color, where parks is blue, recreation is orange, and golf is gray. And what you'll notice here is that it's pretty much stayed kind of static. There's a very small dip in 2021 that's noticeable compared to the other 2 years. And what this slide shows us is the fact that our core services have remained pretty much the same, in the sense that the parks have remained staffed. The golf course has largely remained staffed, because obviously, as we know, golfing has gone through the roof. And the recreation team has also, even though we've had reduced numbers at large, you could still go to a rec center when they were open and find somebody there. And when they weren't open, you could still enroll into virtual classes and find whether it be a virtual Zumba class or something of the sort, in order to keep you motivated and to keep you active during the times of the pandemic. So in all, when you look at the expenditure, the numbers haven't changed much, because once again, the service levels have tried to remain static, whether physically in terms of the parks that we've managed, or the golf courses, or virtually as the recreation team was done, and in person where it came to delivering lunches to seniors and doing a lot of the essential services that we provide. However, when you look at the revenue slide, this is the biggest concern, because, excuse the pun, the revenue did slide a great deal. And this is very evident in this particular slide, where you can see that for recreation, we've gone from a regular revenue in a year of approximately $4 million down to approximately $1 million in 2021 fiscal year. So that's $3 million that basically we lost from our bottom line, yet there was no reduction from the expenditure side to show that, or to offer us some sort of comfort or cushion when this happened. However, as you can also see, what's also happening is now that for the best part of it, you can see in 21, 22, we are seeing now a slight upturn, which in terms of a trend would indicate that hopefully within this current financial year, 22, 23, or 23, 24, we would like to think that we probably will get back to pre-pandemic levels. One interesting thing to note here as well is that whilst recreation has decreased, what you should be able to note is the fact that golf has actually almost doubled in terms of the revenue that we've taken, which is the good news story that we've got here. So that's provided a lot. That's the only respite that we've had during this time. The fact that golf has done so very well, that we've been able to claim back some of the lost ground through the numbers of golf. Kevin Kobayashi, the golf services manager, isn't here this evening, but at the last update that he provided to us, which was only a couple of days ago, he was telling us that the numbers for year to year for the month were basically stronger than last year. So all indications are that golf is going to, for the very short term, is going to likely stay at these levels. So therefore, with that in mind, we should be able to, once again, be at the same levels of revenue, hopefully, pre-pandemic, this financial year, if not the next. So that's a really good news story for us. In terms of the actual numbers, Bob did mention that we've had a summer revenue of $1.1 million. Now, it's important to note that one key aspect of our business is that because we start selling summer classes and camps as early as January, if not February sometimes, what happens is that the actual revenue for the summer is pushed forward to the next year, because the revenues collected in the financial year before, but the expenses are incurred in the financial year ahead. So we move the revenue forward in order for the revenue to match the expense side of things. In doing so, the $1.1 million that we collected is pretty much as large as it was pre-pandemic levels. So therefore, we feel that we've already basically met that baseline. And maybe that's because also of the fact that 3 years later, the cost of living and a lot of the expenses that we've all incurred this year, gas to name one, has increased a great deal. So even so, we feel comfortable that the fact that we've surpassed the pre-pandemic levels in terms of revenue for summer is an extremely good indicator for us. For revenue year to date, and is at approximately $345,000. So we're at approximately 1.445 million year to date. So, and that's only for the first 5 months into the year. So with the other 7 months to go, we feel very comfortable that we're gonna basically be, at a number that would probably resemble something that was in line with pre-pandemic. So fall is looking really, really well. And I should say, I was quite concerned about the fall numbers because as a parent, and I know that Commissioner Home and Commissioner Walnick have expressed parental concerns this evening in terms of childcare. As a parent, even though I can work during summer, I need to do something for my children to get them out of the house and out of, basically for me not to have to worry about them. So for us, we were always confident that the summer revenues would be really good because of the fact that, you need to get your children occupied and busy and get them out of the house in one shape, form or another. So we knew that summer would have been good, especially after 2 years of pandemic. But seeing that fall has continued the trend and that the revenue is looking really, really healthy, that means that the amount of people that are actually engaged and I guess happy to be back in classes is also telling us another story that the numbers aren't going to drop off, because we kind of saw that last year where we had a really good summer. And then after summer, we didn't see the adults coming back to the classes. I should put in brackets the ceramics, because ceramics is just the thing to do. And obviously, Bob has mentioned tennis. But going forward, it is looking robust. And once again, I just wanted to share that with you because of the fact that we've shared a lot of bad news over the past 2 to 3 years, but we haven't shared many good news stories. And I think this is a good news story for us.
Excellent.
Any questions?
Questions?
I do. In the past, we've a few times reviewed golf and how it's supposed to be a cost recovery or enterprise fund, and that it was, I would say, unnecessarily burdened with a debt obligation that other programs didn't have.
Mhm.
And that was always a challenge for maintaining the golf program. With this large increase in revenue, is it getting closer to balancing out that debt burden and or putting it in stronger footing?
So I can answer that question for you. Usually the way we measure golf's financial success is that whether it covers 100% of its own outgoings, but not inclusive of the bond debt burden, which is approximately $675,000 per annum. However, in the even pre-pandemic levels, golf was repaying about 95% of its operational expenditure. But what we've seen in the previous financial year that just closed, 21-22, it brought in enough money to actually cover its expenditure plus its debt burden payment, which shows that it's at the current levels of rounds being played, it's extremely successful. Having said that, not only is the other levels of the rounds of golf extremely high, but as well as that, what we're expecting to see this year is that one of the main revenue factors for the golf course is also the revenue from the restaurant. And the restaurant itself had been closed for, well, not operating to the full capacity for a large part of the year last year. But as well as that, and the banquets just weren't, because your weddings and what have you, celebrations of life, whatever it was that people were hosting there, also weren't going on. But going forward, we expect all of those to come back. So therefore, even if the rounds of golf were to decrease, we think that we're still going to be enjoying a very high number for revenue for the golf course because of the success of the operator there at the banquet and restaurant facilities. Having said that, Commissioner Home, the debt burden, the bond servicing doesn't come off our revenue. So therefore, although we are covering it and we're very proud to be able to boast that, it doesn't come off our bottom line. So to use your words, we have not been burdened with that any further, but it's just nice to know that, we've been paying our way, or we paid our way this year.
Great. And then also on your revenue, you had it looked like in 2020, 2021, that there was a little bit more parks revenue.
Yep.
I mean, it's almost it was non-visible in the other years, and then you actually saw a little bit down there. Is that just rentals of facilities, or what was that?
No, it's basically every couple of years we get a number of, we get a bit of a bump that comes from the amount, the best way to explain it is that, because I forget the actual term of the monies, but every time someone has, let's just say that there's a traffic accident and they impact a tree, we collect a certain number of monies to replace that tree with, and that basically gets collected and it gets bumped back into our budget for.
So you get a lot of trees in 2021.
Well, I think it was an accumulation, but yeah, and the number was about $100,000, which is probably, I don't know, 30-ish odd trees that might have been impacted. So yeah, so it's yeah, but it's somebody, we collect that money, and then that money, the city collects those monies, and then they get passed to us because we have to pay for the contractor to come out and obviously remove, replace, yeah, correct that. So yeah, so that's what that little blue line is about.
Okay.
So yeah, the picnics, actually the picnic revenue has been quite strong in the last 12 months because, as I said, the minute that you can't have indoor functions, then your next option is to have outdoor gatherings. So the picnic areas were extremely popular. Bob might have something to add there, but the picnics have been a very robust part of our business. And in saying so, our facility rental revenue is still suffering because of the fact that people have just not transitioned back into indoor. Yeah. So although we're winning on the one, it's kind of like a it smooths out with the decreased revenue on the other side. So yeah.
All right, thank you.
Pleasure.
Anything else from anybody?
No, you got my
Yeah, the
question.
blue line is mine.
So when we see that big blue line, we shouldn't be happy about it. It sounds like.
No, it's more of an expense reimbursement than anything else. Thank you very much for your presentation, and we certainly enjoyed this a whole lot more than some of the other ones that you've done over the last few years, and I think that reflects the they changed circumstances, but it also reflects the management and the efforts of the staff throughout this very difficult period to really make the most of the situations that have been presented to us. So congratulations.
I'll pass it on to Kevin, and obviously Bob's here. So yeah, thank you, commissioners.
Anything else from us? Then I will open public comment on this, please. Do we have any requests?
There are no raised hands.
There are no raised hands. Okay, well then I will close public comment for this agenda item, and we'll move on to reports and announcements.
Be happy to just go over a couple of things quickly.
Sure.
Tomorrow is our Burrell Park opening, and so we're very excited about that. The grand opening is scheduled for 10 a.m. Hope to see anyone who's watching there. Wanted to let you know that on August 15th, the City Council approved the agreement to move forward with CALA for the construction drawings at the East Hillsdale Park. So that is moving along, and there's a kickoff meeting scheduled for early September. So that's an exciting project. Wanted to also just remind everybody Labor Day is on Monday, and it's a holiday, and most of our facilities are closed. Fall registration is currently open, as we've mentioned. So hopefully people will be registering for the programs and things we have available. We have movies in the park happening in the month of September on Friday nights at 7:30 at various parks.
and then a whole host of special events that come along with the fall as well. I believe it's Fall Festival, Dia de los Muertos, and then there's September Nights on Beat. So that's all in the front cover of your activity guide right here for your viewing pleasure. And then just wanted to mention there is going to be a Parks and Recreation Commissioner workshop for San Mateo County, and that is scheduled for October 15th, which is a Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon. And I believe you've been given this information, but if you have any questions, you can let us know, but just wanted to remind you all about that. That's all I have.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So what was Parks and Rec involvement in the Nights on B?
Well, we actually, our staff assists the city manager's office in putting it on. But since we have so much experience in putting on special events, we play sort of a larger role than maybe we normally would. We book a lot of the acts or things like that. We help with a lot of the staging and some of the activities that go on down there. So city manager's office is up front. They're the ones that kind of own it, but we definitely play a large role.
Yeah, I remember pre-pandemic, it was, you had the mobile.
We had mobile rec out there and yeah. Christine Peralta plays a big role. She's one of our recreation supervisors. She's terrific at putting on special events. So it's a really good resource for the city. So it's only natural to have her as a part of it.
Thanks.
And Scott.
Anything else from anybody here? I have a question for you, Joanne, and that is, in the past, normally with the packet, we got kind of a rundown of the status of sort of the major projects that we have going on. Is that something that you're intending to pick up again?
So I did see
Organize.
that, and I think that I'd rather provide those updates to you during the meeting if possible, and use those more as internal
Documents for staff for those purposes. But we can certainly have additional discussions about it with the chair. Yeah. Moving forward.
Thanks. Okay, if there are no other comments, questions, then I'll declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you all very much. That's what we were.